Hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Manish Malhotra. I am the chapter president for Thai DC. I will just take a few seconds before I turn it over to our esteemed panelists. So, as you saw in the AV, which was just played, Thai DC, our core focus as a chapter is working with the US government. You can say because we are proximity to the federal government, US federal government, one of the reasons why we focus on this so much. But we are probably the only chapter in the entire Thai ecosystem that is very focused on how businesses from the US as well as from the globe can work with the US federal government. Now, as you all know, US federal government is probably the largest buyer of services and goods in the entire world. So it is a massive opportunity, right? I mean, it is something that every company here, at least in the DC area, wants to do business with, right? The US government. Now, having said that, a lot of our programming is around how to work with the government, what opportunities are there, what landscape it is, what opportunity it provides for the startups, all the way from companies based in the DC area as well as from Silicon Valley, right? So even if you are a product company, you probably want to work with the US government. Now, if you are interested, wherever you are today, if you are interested in working with the government, US government specifically, I invite you to follow Thai DC as a chapter and definitely connect with our board members, and we'll be happy to help you. With that, I am not going to take a lot of your time. I am going to invite Ravi Pulli, one of Thai DC's board member and also a key member of our actually board of directors, who has done a tremendous amount of work in terms of how companies and individuals can interface with the government, both here in the United States as well as in India. So he kind of bridges the gap between the two governments, right? So if I can say that, Ravi has been doing this for a number of years, and he's been pretty much very, very effective in terms of getting us into the Indian embassy here in Washington, D.C., having worked with some of the ministers there and bridged so many gaps. There were a lot of companies that visited us from India. We presented their capabilities to the embassy. And again, Ravi was really spearheading all that. With that, COVID obviously has created a lot of challenges, but I can also say it has also created a lot of opportunities. The landscape has changed. So obviously the panel discussion today is all around the opportunities that COVID has created working between US and India. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ravi. Ravi, it's all yours. I wish you all the best for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manish. Thank you for the introduction, introducing our chapter. Thank you. Warm welcome to all the attendees and speakers from across the globe. We have speakers from India and US. So good evening to India and good morning to our US speakers. And it's a great privilege and an honor to host this session, and especially during these pandemic times. So my name is Ravi Pulli, and I'm based in Washington, D.C. I've been living here for the last 25 years, and I have office in India. So I would like to start, just giving some overview about this particular session, why it is so important for us. So as you all know, Indian market with its 1 billion plus population, it is presenting a lot of opportunity now, lucrative and diverse opportunities for US businesses. So those who have right products, services, that can really now help recovering from COVID situation. I know all of us are now thinking that we are in a big crisis, and of course we are. I think that I say that this is the first ever crisis that I have seen ever since I was born, or maybe when in the whole history, right? So I've never seen the whole world being shut down, but all the opportunities are today converted into a business opportunities. All the challenges are converted into a business opportunities. So because of that, the COVID-19 pandemic, the related restrictions imposed to contain the spread on the non-essential activities, as well as movement of people, have impacted economic activity. So that way, if you see the recent statistics, it is showing that the the GDP will continue to grow after this pandemic, because there are a lot of sectors that you see in India, the high tech sector and energy, environmental, and infrastructure, transportation, health. I mean, pretty much every sector has now opportunities. So we never imagined that we all have to go online and just live online, right? We're literally living online today, right? We right from waking up till we go to bed, everything is online. And so I would like to now go and introduce our distinguished speakers. To start with, Dr. Ravi Kota. Minister Kota, brings about 26 years of his experience working with the federal and state government of India. He has joined IAS in 1993. He has worked with Indian government extensively in rural areas and tribal areas, urban areas, and now he's in Washington. It's really a great pleasure to have him to give us the overview of the opportunities that are there for our all U.S. businesses during the COVID and post COVID. How U.S. businesses can go and serve Indian growing market. So I welcome Dr. Ravi Kota to please share your views on this. He's also got a PhD in agriculture. He was a gold medalist. He speaks Telugu, Hindi, Assami, Bengali, and English. He also loves music. So I welcome him to share his views. And our second speaker is going to be Minister Eileen Nandi, or I can say Nandi, I can say, I guess, as per our pronunciation. So, Minister Eileen Nandi is also very senior diplomat working in India. And I, read her bio, and I also spoke to her. She spent almost half of her career in India. We are so fortunate to have you there. And I have heard, of course, your name and your department services to U.S. businesses several times, and thank you so much. And she's based out of Delhi, but she oversees all the consulates across the country. And she is spearheading the entire commerce from US to India. Warm welcome to Minister Eileen Nandi. And then we have third distinguished speaker, and our colleague here, and our I say that member from our Thai community. We're so proud to have you here, Miss Purnima Kumar. You also raised money, and the Thai Angels have given you money for your company, and that's a great thing to know. And also now you have successfully set up your company there, and you have of course gone through a lot of challenges, but what you are highlighting is the opportunities out of the challenges is what you're going to share with our members, and we are very grateful to you all three. And I request Minister Dr. Ravi Kota to start with his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi, and good evening to all in India, and good morning to those from US. Dear friends, at the outset, on behalf of Indian Embassy, Washington, D.C., my warm greetings to you all. Hearty congratulations to the leadership of TAI and its members for organizing this prestigious summit. It's my honor to be with you today and with esteemed co-panelists Eileen Nandi and Purnima Kumar and moderator Ravi Puli. In the pandemic background this year, India's heightened policy action has taken a form of therapy for the economy. Thanks to the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister for a series of policy changes, structural reforms, and attractive incentives so far announced. Even some of these reforms are being talked about as a 1991 moment for the country. If you ask me what is the most forward-looking and reassuring thing at the moment for Indian economy, My reply would be to look at the recent high frequency indicators of Indian economy for the Q2. They are bright and amazing. For instance, PMI manufacturing increased to 58.9, its highest level in over a decade. And India emerges as a preferred destination for global investors, and foreign direct investment doubles to $28 billion in the Q2 compared to the corresponding figures of the last year. Last year is a normal year, pre-COVID times. So India's exchange reserves also reached an unprecedented level of 568 billion by 6th November, the last month. With these robust recovery indicators, we are very much assured of at least one thing of coming year. Definitely, it would not be 2020. We will bounce back quickly and be even better than pre-COVID situation very soon. I'm conscious that we are all now part of hyperactive virtual world in the pandemic paradigm, with so many virtual meetings being attended by everyone sitting before the computer screen. So my intervention in the panel should not add to your virtual overload. So let me try to explain the new economic strategy of the country, taking a few examples and also explain the strengths and opportunities for US-India business partnership. Our Prime Minister said that India is unique for investors due to its 4Ds: democracy, demography, demand, and diversity. He further explained, I thought it is appropriate to, maybe many of you have read it, but important for us, all the investors, prospective investors, to understand in a simple language. He explained, such is our diversity that you get multiple markets within one market. And second thing is, these come with multiple pocket sizes and multiple preferences. And these again come with multiple weathers. At a given point of time, you can have all extreme weathers within the country and multiple levels of development. So this sums up the strengths and opportunities. Who else can appreciate this better than you, members of TAI, mostly from Indian diaspora? India is a country that offers both scope and scale for every investor, from the smallest to the biggest. As part of global value chain, the US and India together can trade know-how and make things. Another important point that we all should realize is that imports of goods and services matter as much as exports to success in a successful value chain. You can bring to the table the know-how of lead firms and suppliers of key components along the stages of production and in multiple offshore locations. As World Bank says, the international inter-firm flow of know-how is the distinguished feature of global value chain. So this covers all sectors from infrastructure, manufacturing to IT. Hitherto informal MSME sector of India is now mainstreamed. It is made possible due to ecosystem being nurtured by startup and Make in India initiatives, coupled with policy, tax reforms, and financial incentives. India has a mind-boggling number of MSMEs. 63 million MSMEs are there. Each of these 63 million MSME can become a solid partner for each one of you if you are ready to work with them and integrate together into global value chain. These opportunities can launch you into the center of any global value chain that you aim for. Even government flagship programs in India offer enormous scope for you. Take the example of Jal Jeevan Mission, 3.6 trillion rupees project to provide household tap connection to everyone by 2024. It offers an array of opportunities of innovation, technology, IT-enabled systems, which often we call as digital water. Once this infrastructure created, the maintenance and upkeep would be another area of perennial opportunity. Trinity of recent reforms in labor, farm sector, and education, they open up new opportunities. You may be aware, Punjab alone exports its agri products to 146 countries already. Now, these new reforms give boost to scale up the production and food processing industry in India. And you all heard about new education policy 2020, which came after 3 decades in the policy space of education in India. It encourages setting up of global universities in India to meet the ever increasing demand for higher education for the growing middle class. The universities of the US and India can work together to create and innovate win-win models in the post-COVID kind of a situation. We have a lot of experience now. And also the Indian diaspora presence in the US education system is the main strength of this potential partnership. Some of you are actively engaged in this too. The US and India are natural partners. The trade and investment linkages between us are bipartisan and integral to the multifaceted relationship. The partnership has grown from strength to strength. Now, the USA is the fifth largest investor in India. At the same time, in the US, uh, you will be happy to know that there is about 155 companies with origins in India are responsible for generating investment worth 22 billion US dollars in US and creating 125,000 jobs, 125,000 jobs in the US. So the two-way business opportunities between us are enormous and can expand for mutual benefit. Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliance, is mantra of the country. As our Prime Minister explained, it is not protectionist or inward-looking approach. It's a well-planned economic strategy to help create global economic resilience. Efficiency and optimization alone will not do. It has taken a global pandemic to remind us how important the resilience is. Global economic resilience can be achieved by strong domestic economic capacities. This means improved domestic capacity for manufacturing, restoring the health of financial system, and diversification of international trade. So this is what Atmanirbhar or self-reliance strategy of India in the words of Prime Minister. So this action, this Atmanirbhar Bharat strategy has seen sustained action over the last 8 months. Results have been instant in some sectors. For example, within 3 months, the PPE industry in India has become a new business of worth 1.4 billion dollars, the second largest after China. Within 3 months, IIT Alumni Council set up the largest fund in the country worth $2.9 billion. There are challenges, but together we'll be able to overcome this. And Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative has also changed the definition of MSME for the better. It has boosted scope for private participation in sectors like defense and manufacturing. Production linked incentives in more than a dozen champion sectors have been announced. They are ACC battery, electronic and technology products, pharma, medical device manufacturing, auto parts and automobiles, MMF segment and technical textiles, high effective solar PV modules, specialty steel, etc. So these champion sectors will make Indian manufacturing globally competitive, attract investment in the area of core competency and cutting edge technology, ensure efficiencies and create economies of scale and enhance exports, further make India integral part of global supply chain. Since many of you have contributed to the Silicon Valley and been part of its business, I cannot resist mentioning about the opportunities available in digital technology and innovation. With around 75% of global digital talent, India's IT sector is estimated to achieve 1 trillion US dollar digital economy by 2022. You are all aware cost effectiveness of Indian IT industry makes a natural choice for the US and other global players. Technology in education, the ed tech, has been booming in India even before the pandemic. The ascendancy in unicorns and global investors in the sector in India stands testimony to this. The current catastrophe has further reasserted its eminence. Agriculture, healthcare, and disaster management services can also stand to benefit from the work being undertaken in the field of artificial intelligence, AI. Of course, you all know more about this than me, as most of the Thai members are part of the IT sector. Those of you operating from the US and those of us in the embassy in India and DC have more responsibility in furthering our business partnership. After all, US has the largest Indian diaspora in the world. From the Embassy of India, under the dynamic leadership of our Ambassador Sandhu, we are very keen to engage with you in this exciting journey to build new partnerships and investments. In the embassy, we have two wings for this. While I head the economic wing, which is responsible for investments, commerce wing is headed by my colleague, Dr. Manoj Mahapatra, who looks after the trade and B2B issues. And you may be aware that the Union Cabinet recently created a dedicated project development cell in each ministry in Government of India in Delhi with a nodal officer at joint secretary level for facilitating investment. You can now approach them directly. And there is also an empowered group of secretaries for prompt and quick decisions on investment proposals. So these are all done. Had there, if there was no COVID kind of a situation, then things would have gone as usual or incremental kind of an improvement. But because of COVID and all these series of actions and changes in the system, and even including the decision making and ease of doing business, are the great opportunities for all of us. I hope all of you would be able to avail these opportunities and become partner in this US-India business growth story. I thank you all again for this opportunity and looking forward to continue the engagement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Dr. Ravi Kota. And I now request Minister Eileen Nandi to please, share your remarks about the opportunities for US businesses in Indian market.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with you all. And I've had also the honor of working with Thai, both in India and Silicon Valley across the years. And so I really applaud all of you for not only your entrepreneurial spirit, but for your vision to pay it forward, to help new entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs get what they need to become as successful as you all are. So it's really always a pleasure to talk to Thai. I first wanted to introduce my organization. I'm with the U.S. Department of Commerce, and we help U.S. small and medium enterprises export overseas. So we're also, we look forward to working with you to contribute to the U.S.-India economic growth story that my counterpart, Dr. Kota, mentioned. And we do this in a variety of ways, but basically, we would like to work with you to define what your strategies are, what you need. It might be to help find a partner here. It might be to help you with a regulatory issue, to register a product here. Sometimes we do things as mundane as getting stuff out of customs if there's an undue delay. So whatever it is, we want to help contribute to the bilateral commercial success story that we've enjoyed with India over the decades. So I first started working in India in 2006. And at that time, our bilateral trade was something like $26 billion. Last year in 2019, it skyrocketed to $146 billion. So we've seen tremendous progress over the years and decades. But I would say that's really only a fraction of the potential that we have in our countries. And we are the two largest democracies in the world. We have so many shared values, shared visions. And I think many of you representing the Indian diaspora know this more than anybody. And so we want to help US companies succeed here in India. And we also help Indian companies with their investment strategies in the United States. So trade is really a two-way street, and we look forward to helping each of you. So in terms of our strategic partnership with India, it's really been very, very close and intertwined. The US-India relationship has very strong bipartisan support. And we joke sometimes, but it's true that both sides of the aisle in Washington support this relationship. So over the years, as both parties come in and out of office, we see that India remains a strong and important partner for the United States. In the past, we had Secretary Ross come to India 3 times in a calendar year, and that's really unprecedented to have a cabinet, one cabinet level official come to a country 3 times in 12 months. And that really attests to the relationship that we have. He also came with President Trump during the big visit in February, it seems like that was a different era altogether, but it was a few months ago in February, and that was a hugely successful visit. At that visit, we organized a roundtable of some of the Indian investors that have succeeded in the United States. So we had the titans of industry, but we also had some smaller and medium companies that have also done well in the United States. I'd also like to share that we have offices across the United States. So wherever you might be located, if you're looking to enhance your export strategy, please contact the closest Export Assistance Center. We have them in almost all 50 states. They can help connect you with me and my team here in India, or if you're looking at other countries, they can connect you with my colleagues overseas. So it's been interesting these past 8 months because, of course, we're all working virtually on the screen. In India is no exception. And many of you, I guess, as many of you come from Indian backgrounds, you know that the business environment here relies very much on face-to-face interactions. So it's been kind of eye-opening for me. Even I spent 9 years working here, and I was a bit skeptical at first, wondering if our Indian companies would be willing to have conversations on screens. But there's no choice, and we've seen unprecedented demand from both Indian and U.S. companies wanting to connect with each other. So we spend a lot of time in the evening hours, which is the morning in the U.S. For the West Coast companies, we can work the morning our time, which is evening on the West Coast. But we're setting up a lot of meetings to keep conversations going. I think the big question will be to see how many of these will turn into successful partnerships. For things like consumer products or software, business can still be conducted online without meeting. But anything that requires customized equipment or specific negotiations, many companies are waiting until they can meet face-to-face, or sometimes an in-person visit is required. So we're all kind of weathering this transition together. I'll just highlight some areas where I'm seeing a lot of US companies interested and Indian companies being responsive. So energy, we've had a lot of sales of LNG. We're also seeing a lot of areas in renewable energy and energy storage. In healthcare, that's obviously been a big topic. We've been working very closely with the Indian pharmaceuticals and helping bring US medical devices to India. And I look forward to having Purnima Kumar talk about her experiences in a short bit. Manufacturing, there's a lot of opportunity to contribute parts and components to India's Make in India initiative. In aerospace, we're obviously, not selling planes this year perhaps, but there are opportunities in the MRO, the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Also some components and things to sell in the aerospace market. In the environmental sector, we're seeing very strong demand in water and air pollution control equipment. My colleague mentioned the IT sector. That's also a big one for us. Helping US cyber companies and fintech. Those are some key areas here. And education has also been a really strong prospect. And we hope that Indian students will continue to study in the United States. Also with India's new guidelines in education, that opened up some opportunities for more collaborations and things here. So the future is really very bright. These of course are tough times. And we're all weathering them together. But if you are interested in setting up opportunities here, finding potential partners, if you have questions about regulations or whatever, we are here to help you with that. So our goal is to help US small and medium companies succeed here. We help the bigger companies too, but they don't need our help as much. So they always come to us when they have the bigger problems. So we are here to help, and I look forward to answering any questions and hopefully connecting with many of you down the road. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Minister Eileen Nandi, and that's a great, message. And as you rightly said, we most of our Thai members are also, medium and small businesses, and it's a great help. And as you said, the business is open. Although there are travel restrictions, thanks to both the governments, they have never stopped business people to travel, and they are issuing visas to go and meet if needed. And of course, this is all to protect every citizen. But thank you so much, and I would now request Ms. Purnima Kumar to share her successful story in India.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi, for inviting me to the session. And thank you, Eileen, also for your invitation to take part in this panel. It was also wonderful to meet Dr. Ravi Kota, and I'm sure it is going to be a very useful contact from an entrepreneur's point of view. Ravi, could I have my slides? I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation to kind of organize my thoughts. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I have it in bigger screen?
Can you see that now?
Yeah, I can see it, but I need to get it onto my app. Okay, all right. And yeah. So just to give a quick introduction, my name is Purnima Kumar. I'm the managing director of Hemix DX, and I'm stationed in Mumbai. To give a quick introduction to my background, I'm a molecular biologist by training, and I worked in the US biotech industry for the last 25 years, and I moved to Mumbai for personal reasons. And I've been in Mumbai for the last 3 years. Working on Hemix DX. So Hemix DX is a subsidiary of a company called Hemix Health, which was established in Portland, Oregon. As Ravi mentioned, some of the investors include Thai Silicon Valley Angel Fund. We got close to $1 million from Thai. This was in 3 years ago when we were starting the company. We also got investments from Tata Trust and India Health Fund, which I will talk about later. So we manufacture, Hemix DX manufactures point of care diagnostic devices for sickle cell disease, malaria, thalassemia, and anemia. So these are diseases that are very highly prevalent in countries like India and Africa. And our plan was to set up the manufacturing facility in India. Can I get this, more focused on, yeah, it's going out of focus. Okay. So, why did we choose India? That's the question a lot of people ask. As I said, the diseases that we deal with are prevalent in India. Malaria and sickle cell diseases are more prevalent in India and Africa. And human resources, when it comes to human resources, technical people, scientists, PhD people, India is very good in those kind of resources. So availability of technical and scientific expertise was a big factor in choosing India, and also manufacturing facilities and global leaders and key opinion leaders in our field was also one of the big reasons we chose India. Right now we have a very good choice of manufacturing facilities like Lakshmi Life Sciences and Robonic, where we do most of our manufacturing activities. And for us, clinical trial sites are very important, and we do have clinical trial partnerships with organizations like hospitals like Apollo and National Institute of Malaria Research in India, in Delhi, and also National Institute for Tribal Health which comes under ICMR. So we do a lot of these clinical trials that we need for data. We do with these organizations. So we have had very good experience through that. And many, successful young entrepreneurs from the US moved to India, and they started social impact venture capital funds. And this was for mostly in public health and in other areas as well. Like Ravi said, Eileen said, in health and in healthcare facilities, in agriculture, in medical devices, all of that. So right now with the COVID situation, medical device has become very important. Diagnostics, healthcare facilities, PPEs, all of them have become very important. And India has really stepped up in helping entrepreneurs to do these activities. So we expected that we would get a lot of help from some of these venture capitals, in the social impact field. And we were actually going to get some investment from some of these funds. But before they could actually put any money in, a larger biotech, a medical device company invested in us. So we didn't really need to get any money from the social impact funds in India. But, Social Alpha, which is one of the big social impact venture funds, gave us incubator space. And they connected us to India Health Fund, which gave us some money for funding for clinical trials. And we also got connected to Tata Trust. So we did actually benefit from the venture capitals in India. And another reason why we came in was also because of Prime Minister Modi's Make in India exhortation. So we thought this would be a good time for us to come to India. Next slide, please. So if you ask, if an entrepreneur from the US asked me, is it very easy to do business in India? India is challenging, but ultimately it is also rewarding. Can I see can you focus the slides a little bit better? I can't read it. Slightly higher. Can you see it at all? I can't read the, but anyway, I'll quickly, yeah. No, we did have some challenges in India in establishing the company. And this was mostly due to the regulatory, all the rules, the government rules in the regulatory field. We did have, regulations, some of the regulations of the Indian FDA were quite challenging. Some of the guidelines were not very clear. And just as we started our company, the regulations changed. So it came to a stage where a lot of the consultants that we had appointed, most of them were not very clear about the regulatory rules, of CDSCO. CDSCO is the US equivalent, the Indian equivalent of the US FDA. And so there was some confusion about how to go ahead with registering our products. But fortunately, we worked with a few consultants, and we finally, after 2.5 years, we did get our registration for our malaria diagnostic device. And we also got our registration for our sickle cell device. So both the devices that we are working on right now, that we have worked on, now we can actually sell in the Indian market. And we are also working on a free sale certificate, getting free sale certificate to export these devices into Africa and Latin American countries where there is malaria and also sickle cell disease. So altogether, our experience with working with the Indian FDA has been positive, but I think a little bit of help from from the government in streamlining some of these guidelines would be very helpful for us. So could I have the next slide, please? Yeah, and like I said, many people helped us in our journey. For every challenge that we faced, there was also help. Niti Aayog, which is one of the government organizations, Niti Aayog officials helped us in getting meetings with the Indian Health Minister, Indian health officials in the government, the family welfare department. We did get some very important contacts from there. Invest India, which is an organization that under the India government, which helps companies like us, US companies like us, in reaching out to CIDESCO and the Prime Minister's office and all of those important organizations. They facilitated meetings with CIDESCO officials. So that was a big help. And Eileen's office, the US Commercial Service headed by Eileen, also helped us in getting up crucial face-to-face meetings with CIDESCO officials. So, there are organizations that can help us. Advamed is another organization that was in India, which helped us in getting the right contacts in India. Next. Can I have the next? Yeah. So what are the lessons that we learned from working in India? So when a company like a US company, a startup company goes to India, you really have to plan very well. You have to work with knowledgeable consultants in the field. Otherwise, you will be spending a lot of time spinning your wheels without knowing what to do. So working with consultants really helped us. We had very good consultants in the regulatory field who could work with CIDESCO. And like in the US, you cannot really expect results, turnaround times. You really have to be patient. You can't expect instant results and turnaround times like you would do in the US. Things actually, when you think that things are not going to work out because of whatever reason, but suddenly it does work out, and eventually it worked out, and because you have to be patient when you're working in India, and people are very helpful. Like I said, Social Alpha, some of the venture capital, public health and social impact organizations really helped us to find space in incubator space, to connect us with different organizations. So we are very thankful for all of that. So people are willing to help and support, and these are people who really want to see a positive change in the country. So we are very thankful for that. There's a lot of energy and enthusiasm and optimism in India, and people want positive change. And these are the young generation of India, and it's very heartening to see how energetic and how optimistic they are about the future of India. And for healthcare, of course, India is one of the world's largest markets. We can't forget the size of the eventual price. So once we get our devices out in the market, our potential is just really quite high. It's 1.36 billion people that we are really facing. So it's a very optimistic kind of outlook. So overall, I think our experience of working in India has been very good, and I'm really thankful, and it's really rewarding also from my point of view. I worked in the US for a long time, but coming to India and really starting this company in India, which actually would provide job opportunities for distributors, for healthcare workers, and a lot of other laboratories and all of that. That's been very rewarding for me. So so that's it. It's been good. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Purnima Kumar. That's really encouraging for all the entrepreneurs, those who want to expand into India. And glad to know that you raised money from US and India, and you have used all the resources from US and in India. That's what we would like to continue to see happening, and we want to more partnership to be built in building enterprises like yours. And we certainly wish you all the best. And I'll just go back to Dr. Ravi Kota for a few questions, and we have only another 14 minutes left. We'll try to have as many questions as possible. We have received many questions, but I'll go to Minister Kota to help us understand on the potential opportunities in the MSME sector. So, Minister Kota, if you could please elaborate more on the specifics of recent post-COVID policy changes that will help the growth of the MSME sector in India.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi, and I'm glad that you have asked these questions. I did not get into the details while making my initial intervention, because I can quickly mention 4 to 5 major policy interventions or changes were made by Government of India post-COVID. Firstly, there is a very huge equity infusion of MSME was provided by allocating 50,000 crore through fund of funds. So the first time they have created fund of funds to help expand MSME size as well as their capacity, because it was realized COVID was going to hit these small businesses far harder than bigger ones. Then the second one is this equity infusion comes with a provision that encourages MSME to get listed on main board of stock exchanges. It was not known for MSMEs in India earlier. The third major one is that the new limits of investment and turnover have been introduced. New limits means the limits have been increased for MSMEs so that they can allow more firms to be able to garner the benefits accrued by the sector. Finally, and more importantly, where MSMEs will sell their products in a post-COVID kind of COVID kind of an environment. So therefore, e-market linkages for MSMEs being promoted as a replacement for trade fairs and exhibitions, and fintech to be used. Earlier, fintechs are not that much involved. Our MSMEs were mostly informal and stayed away from the system. But the fintechs also got a new area of business to work with a huge number of MSMEs. So fintech to be used to enhance transactions-based lending for MSMEs using the data generated by the e-marketplace. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And one more quick, question on the very ambitious, national infrastructure projects. So if you could please, give us some overview on that, would be also very helpful.
That's really a great question. In fact, I would, there is a national infrastructure pipeline, there is a project, and I would encourage all the participants to go to the internet and type indiainvestmentgrid.com without any spaces, indiainvestmentgrid.com. You will find a page, National Infrastructure Pipeline. And it's very, I mean, even if someone is not initially interested in the opportunities, it's a very educative kind of a thing. It's a first of kind exercise. It has 7,400 projects across 34 subsectors worth 1.8 billion US dollars. They are both greenfield and brownfield projects. And you have all details related to these projects on the website, and you can register your interest against these projects if they have not been allotted to anyone till now. And as on today, more than 12,000 registered investors are there. So you'll also find both national infrastructure pipeline projects and non-NIP projects also. And you have because some of the investors are interested in stressed projects. So there is also projects listed out there, what are all stressed projects and what are the current status and how they can be brought back. So it has all kind of infrastructure projects, roads, airports, ports, railways, and to social infrastructure projects. you will find minute details of each project. And even, for example, if you are interested in a particular state within the country, also one can see and find these projects. So all these projects by 2026, 25-26, so Government of India is very keen to organize the investment for all these projects and involve this thing. And of course, some of the bigger venture capital and asset managers and equity fund managers also can look at very important thing. And so far, as far our knowledge goes, so they're very unprecedented kind of incentives were announced. If you can source the fund from sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and funds from the retirement vehicle, and invest in these identified national infrastructure pipeline, so you will not, I mean, the lock-in period is only 3 years, though they are long infrastructure projects. And second thing is that there is no income tax on the returns or other kind of a dividends, etc. So those incentives were also there. So this website gives you the real-time dashboard of ongoing projects and opportunities also. So, and you can also, when you realize the progress made so far within the short time of 2 years after this project was launched, 1.5 years, and already some of the projects got the investors, and there is a good progress on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next question is for Minister Eileen Nandi. So one of our attendees is asking, what is the biggest apprehension that US manufacturers with no Indian working in the company have when they think they should expand their business to India? Example, a US manufacturer is looking for a distributor in India or a tech license manufacturer.
Thank you. So the question is, what's the biggest apprehension?
That's right, yeah.
So I think the big question is to decide whether the company needs one distributor to cover the whole country or to take a regional approach. And that's going to depend on the company. It's going to depend on the product. It's going to depend on their level of comfort, dealing with multiple partners or one partner. But as Dr. Kota mentioned, there are many countries within India, right? The regions are very distinct. And most companies, unless it's a very niche product, can't take a one-size-fits-all approach. So generally, we do recommend to have different regional coverage. But that sometimes for an SME, it's too much for them. They're like, oh, no, I just want one partner. So if that's the case and that's all that they can handle, we will work with them on that. And they might lose some deals or not get full country coverage. But that's, and we can help you find that partner, help vet potential partners if people are coming to you, and look forward to hopefully working with some of you.
That's great. And another question is, we have a lot of our local chapter members work with the federal and state government here in US. Do you see any opportunities for these, government contractors that are successfully serving in the US government? We would like to know if they could also, serve in the Indian government.
Sure. So we would love to work with you to explore that. The Indian government has come up with more procurement guidelines. They're really focusing on local content, both in terms of products and services. But there could be something that is not manufactured here, or some sort of super specialized expertise that's not available here locally. So yes, we would love to have that conversation with you.
And whatever the certifications and everything they have in the US, do they have to recertify, everything like, what Ms. Purnima was saying, that equivalent FDA is out there in India. So we would like to just, get some understanding on that.
Right. So that depends on the sector and the product. But yes, there's a lot of registrations and regulatory hoops that many companies have to go through. Certainly healthcare is one. Cosmetics, there's a lot of registration procedures required for cosmetics products. Some services don't necessarily translate. Architecture and legal services are some that it's hard for a U.S. company to show up and just do business here because the degrees are not in it's basically not allowed. But please do contact us, and we can help you work with it. And would love to see more U.S. companies doing business here.
Thank you very much, Minister Eileen, and it's a great pleasure to have you here on the session. And now I'll, have one or two more questions for Ms. Purnima as well. So, Ms. Purnima Kumar, what some of our members would like to know if they could, build any partnership with the companies instead of they come and set up their own manufacturing unit or service unit there. They would like to know how they could help you being in US, running a US company itself, but could they still partner with you and help you be successful in India?
This is like the US companies in India partnering with Hemix DX in India. Is that
also from US itself?
From the US. Well, we are a medical device company, right? So the only partnership that we would really like is if they would like to distribute our products, our devices in the US or outside the US, that would be very good. We work with a lot of distributors outside India and also in India. So that would be one good partnership that we would like to have. Africa is a country that we look at to distribute our products. So it would be the partnership would mostly be in distributing our products in India and also in outside India, like African and Latin American countries where there's malaria and when there is also sickle cell problems. That would be the partnership that I would envisage.
That's really great. And what is that you would like to also see the opportunity for the Indian companies to collaborate with you and help you become more successful?
Well, Indian companies, we have already collaborated with Tata Elxsi, which has given us a lot of important services like software engineers, algorithm developers. So we have been working with Tata Elxsi for the last 2-3 years. We are also working with the India Health Fund, which collaborates with us to do all our clinical trials in India. Like I said, they help us in finding the right sites to do our clinical trials. They have scientists who act as principal investigators for our clinical trials. So those are the people who are actually helping and collaborating with us in India. And the companies, if you ask, we have a lot of manufacturing that is going on. So we do work with Indian manufacturers, contract research manufacturers like Robonic and Lakshmi Life Sciences. So there's a lot of partnership with Indian companies also that we have in India. So
great, thank you so much. And it's great to hear from all three of you. And as all our attendees hear that there is a huge ecosystem built in India, which will make you successful, right? The government is very proactively, encouraging companies, and we have our US embassy there, and our, senior diplomat, Miss Eileen Nandi is there, and their entire crew is out there, and we look forward to continue to build our partnership, from Thai members and Thai network. Thai is not only in US, it's in 14 countries. There are 60 chapters, and it continues to grow. And we would love to work with you, and we look forward to all your support. And I want to thank you once again for all your time and sharing all your experiences and your knowledge over this partnership between US and India. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful time ahead. And be safe and happy holidays to all of you and your families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Dr. Kota.
Thank you. Thank you.